Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first, unofficial but official episode of the It's Been a Minute podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Augustus, and my partner in crime over there. It's beard finally growing back at the head to cut it. What's up, man? It's Angus AJ Johnson. What's up, man?
What's going on? You know, it's crazy. If you remember the Geico list,
Yeah,
for some reason I looked exactly like him when I cut my beard off. So
you look more like
like,
your dad. Actually, I
yeah,
noticed that
I
when we
looked like
saw
a
him. Like,
younger.
damn,
I essentially looked like a younger version of myself in my grown man body. It's very
yeah,
scary,
yeah,
but nonetheless, I prevail.
yeah. Well, man, like I said, man, please like and share, subscribe. Tell your people and tell your people to watch and listen to the show. The reason why I say first, unofficial but official, we did do an episode. I had some audio issues, so we're gonna table that, unfortunately. But what I wanted to do is we can kind of like give a rundown of what we talked about. And we ain't got to spend too much time on it. We can kind of go from there. Um,
Mhm.
I made a. It was supposed to be one of the first things we did. The major topics is the NFL All Star team. So I had both of us making NFL All Star team. There was a bit of miscommunication about from my end. I probably should have communicated better, like what eras I was talking about. But I did an all time list, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull it up right here. Who we all had. So I don't think I remember what you had, but I had
I
for
don't even think I
QBs. I
remember
had
what I had.
Oh, okay. So I had Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton for my quarterbacks, Eric Dickerson, Marshawn Lynch for my running backs. My wide receivers consisted of Ocho, Megatron, Tyreek, Julio, and my tight ends was Shannon and Antonio Gates. And who did you have for offense?
I don't even. I remember I did like a list for this year instead of all time. So I remember my quarterbacks, I believe, were Matthew Stafford and who I forgot who the second person.
Yeah,
Um,
I should have went back and
Running
listened
backs,
to
I
this.
remember, I think it was Jameer Gibbs and Derrick Henry, and then I had Puka Jackson Smith from Seattle, Mike Evans, and then I forgot who the last one was in for the tight end. I think I had George Kittle, and yeah, I forgot who the other one was too, but it was, yeah. I only made one for this season instead of all time. But if we were to do the list over, I definitely feel like I got a good idea for where I would
Right.
go.
I guess we can probably do that in a later episode if you want. As far as
Yeah, well, we can do a little later on today, but I think yeah, we do it at probably at the end of the season.
Yeah, we can just go ahead and do that. Just real quick, what I had on defense consisted of who did I have? DBs, so it was Pat Surtain. I think I had Darius Slay, Darrell Revis, and Asante. My safeties were Ed Reed and Ryan Clark. So that's what I had. We also talked about playoff predictions. It's a lot different than the last time when we first did this episode, and we also had our MVP discussion. Has that changed in the last couple of weeks, or is that still kind of locked in for you?
Um,
I know it is for me.
so as far as me, I still have Matthew Stafford, but man, Drake May looks good.
Yeah, it's them two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he looks legit, and he's been consistent all year. And I mean, shoot, it looks like Patriots have another good quarterback. We'll see what happens, and they have a great quarterback coach tandem. And the thing that is great about this time is that culture is still established,
yeah,
and that organization still has a great expectation of winning, a good fan base, great ownership. And so now that you have another great coach and quarterback tandem, it's very interesting to see how they'll go moving forward. That defense looks pretty decent as well, but when you have a quarterback that's throwing like over 70% or completing 70% of their passes, that's amazing. So
yeah,
we'll see if it can translate into the playoffs as we see Matthew Stafford do so before. But I mean, 46 touchdowns for Matthew Stafford. That's pretty amazing. Uh, I've seen Tom Brady shine some light on it and how hard that is as a dream for a quarterback to throw that much. touchdowns. So I mean that is pretty nice. I think Tom Brady did 50 one year with the Bucks, possibly or 45. So
Yeah.
to throw that much means you have to have a pretty successful and high power offense or
Yeah.
a pretty consistent offense. So I mean, it's going to. This is the thing about the 1 and 2. It's like you can't really say, oh well, the player is playing that good because the coaching team or a player. Like both players have great coaches with good teams. So with
Yeah.
I think Drake Mays with Josh McDaniels for his first year together as the offensive coordinator. So it's both of them have a really good scheme. And then I think you have people like, I don't necessarily know that they'll win, but for like third and fourth place, I think, you have some interesting um players that come in, like maybe even Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen. I don't know if they'll be third or fourth place, but at least they'll be top five. Uh,
Yeah.
so a lot of good coaches and quarterback tandems this year.
That was I don't know if you saw, but because I added it like later earlier today. Just as like a few miscellaneous topics that we can kind of discuss.
Mhm.
Yeah, we don't have to discuss everything tonight, but it's kind of like a couple of bullet points that we can kind of tackle, throughout the
Yeah,
podcast,
absolutely.
later episodes. Um, which one would you want to tackle tonight, or where did you want to go first? Like, where did you kind of want to go?
I think we can run it from the top. I like all those topics. I think it's
Right.
a great basis for some conversation.
So the first one. So if you want to get into the first one, then who should get the most credit for when a football team is successful? The quarterback to the pieces around him, and it's very we always been hearing since like last year. Ever since Cam said what he said on his podcast about being a game manager and a game changer, there's been this conversation about like who gets more so of the credit, and like you were just talking about with different coaches and quarterbacks. Me personally, I think it's a mix of both. Um,
Mhm.
you really can't have one without the other. Like there's only certain amount of players, two that I can think of offhand that can kind of uh overcome bad coaching. That was Tom Brady, number one. It didn't really matter who his coach was. Um, Lawrence Taylor would be another one. When you're so great, it almost don't even really matter because
Mhm.
now on the other side to that conversation, you can have great players, you can have great personnel, but if you don't have the right people to put it together, it doesn't really mean
Yeah,
anything. We're
absolutely.
seeing that with Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a perfect example of that. When Tom Brady first went to Tampa, that was a perfect example. They already had a ready-made team when he first got there. All he had to do was really
Mhm.
show up. They had a Super Bowl caliber defense. They had
Yeah.
Ndamukong Suh and Levante David and people like that. So that's my take on it. What about you?
Well, for me personally, I think it's going to depend upon the pieces around it for a couple different reasons. One, I think you can have a game manager or even a mediocre quarterback that could excel very, very well with other prominent pieces around him. And I
Yeah,
also think those pieces that are around him include the defense. Eventually, the offense is not going to score every drive.
yeah,
I mean, no matter how good of a quarterback you are, you're not going to score every drive, or you're not going to score every drive in every single game. I mean, we've seen the way the Rams came out and played the Falcons a couple weeks ago. It's just eventually, even the leading candidate in the MVP race is going to come out and throw a couple of interceptions, including pick sixes. So, but what's going to happen to keep them in the game and keep them competing is the pieces around them, which include the defense. Um, I really do think that the Eagles are another example of that. Like, which we're going to talk about that in the next topic. I do think that Jalen Hurts, as good as he is a game manager. I don't think he's that spectacular when it comes to throws. I don't think he's that spectacular when it comes to plays. But you know what he does the best? You know the best thing that Jalen Hurts does is
mhm,
makes the right decision. That's probably like his best skill set. And that's why they're the most successful. When Jalen Hurts makes the right decision, it puts them in a place to win every single time and they're unstoppable. Like
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is a game changer.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, game changer. Lamar Jackson, game changer.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, game changer. Like these guys were Peyton Manning, game changer. Like Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Philip Rivers, all these guys change the game. And but you have a lot of other teams that are successful with some of the players around them. And once you plug in a certain quarterback that knows how to manage those players well, and they know how to make the right decision, and they know how to not make certain decisions that put their team in bad places, that's exactly what's going to get them to the place where they want to be, which is that big game, the championship game, the Super Bowl. Um, kind of reminds me of a business that has great workers, has a great establishment, but what do they do sometimes? They change management. They may change the
Yeah.
name. They may change the ownership. They may, you may even have a particular business fire their general manager and hire another manager, and then all of a sudden you see some type of excelling there. And it's because sometimes you just need the right person that's going to make the right decisions, but the pieces are already there. There's not a lot of, I mean, besides the names that we've said, there's not a lot of game changer. I would say Sam Darnold's becoming a game changer. Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford's definitely a game changer. I think Jared Goff is a great game manager. Another, but then again, Jared Goff can go like 20. He can go 80%, 90% sometimes
Yeah.
with all the targets he has.
Yeah.
But he's another person that has a bunch of targets that, as long as he doesn't make the wrong decision, he's pretty good. You got Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jameson Williamson, I think it is. I'm not sure. And then you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, you have all these great targets, including their tight end that I don't recall the name. And it's like all you have to do is make the right decision. So, Jalen Hurts is the same way. I think Caleb Williams has turned into a game changer this year.
Yeah. Say so.
I think CJ Stroud is like teeter tottering the line. Sometimes he has a great game. Some games he just try not to make the wrong decision for the defense to come out and do what they do. So it's all over the place. We have actually, if you think about it, we're at a time right now in the NFL where a lot of our young quarterbacks are more game changers than game managers. Like Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Tua before he was benched was a game changer. Um, who else? Sam Darnold's becoming a game changer right before our eyes. Brock Purdy looks awesome right now. I never was a Brock Purdy believer. I now I gotta kind of jump on the bandwagon
You
and be like, all
wasn't?
right, no, I was like, he was okay. I know he's been to a Super Bowl, but I'm
Two.
like, yeah, he's been to two. You're right, and it's just like to me, I'm just like, what? He to me was like the ultimate game manager, and now he's a game changer. He is definitely a game changer. So a lot
I
of
disagree
props
with the
these
Tua
guys.
take, but yeah, I'll let you have it.
Nah, yeah, Brock Purdy, he looked good, and he wasn't, he was hurt for what 5 6 weeks this season. So definitely, definitely a lot of quarterbacks right now are actually like I think Dan Orlovsky really has opened the eyes of a lot of individuals and saying that that elite list is no longer 3 to 5 quarterbacks. It's a 10 to 15 deep list where you have elite quarterbacks on every other team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think the conversation really goes like like Cam said, and we can go ahead and since we're already talking about, we can go ahead and get into the next topic about game managers and game changers. But Tom Brady is the greatest game manager because if you look at his stats, he wasn't necessarily flashy. Like
No,
he doesn't have a lot of 5,000 yard seasons or I think he had a lot of 4,000 yard seasons, but I think his biggest year was with Moss.
no, no.
Think the question is, or the conversation is, it's like when you go out to play, are we going to win in spite of you, or are we going to win because of
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like Mahomes, like when you have somebody like Mahomes or Burrow or Josh Allen, Lamar, you're expecting to win.
Yep.
You're expecting to, okay, we might not have all the pieces around us like we need, but we have this quarterback that's winning because of, and I think that's what really separates the whole game manager game. So it's like, I don't think Tua is a game changer like that. Because I mean,
Obviously not anymore. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think he's a I
But
don't know.
you gotta understand, Jalen Hurts was benched for Tua, and Tua came in and led them to the national championship. Tua is a game changer.
I mean,
But
who's been to the Super Bowl first though?
no, I understand that. And that's because Tua keeps getting headaches. But you know, I don't even think that boy can read a playbook anymore.
Man,
Nonetheless, a
throwing
defense.
up gang signs.
I know, right?
Bro, I
I
thought
know
he
he couldn't walk
broke
it.
his hand. I saw him fall. I'm like, yo, is he? It's like that's the reaction. Okay.
I know, right? Dude, it's tough, but I don't think he'll ever be the same again. I think he should just accept that check and come up in the booth and start talking why he still is able to keep talking.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing about game changers, like you have to essentially, like you said, you have to win because of that individual. There is more and more quarterbacks today than there was in the last 5 to 6 years. Than there was quarterbacks that their team is winning because of the quarterback. But I don't think it's bad to be a game manager.
It's not.
I think because you got to understand, game changers which they had what game managers had. Game managers have all the resources on their team. They more game managers have a full built out team. Just think about Tom Brady. Tom Brady had a defense. He had targets. He had even his coaching staff was riddled with very smart and intelligent coordinators and coaches that he was able to tap into his own intelligence and help collaborate, things of that nature. Most game managers are riddled with resources that game changers wish they had. But game changers are just a different breed. This is another thing. A lot of quarterbacks or a lot of teams are drafting quarterbacks to be game changers when a lot of them are just game managers.
Yeah.
That's why you have some people that they don't work for one situation or they don't work for a particular coaching staff and their scheme and what they want for them, but they may go off and work for another team and work for another scheme
Daniel
somewhere else.
Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones looks great. I felt really bad for him. Sam Darnold, I'm sold on Sam Darnold now. We'll see what happens because he's notorious for chucking up a interception at the worst moment, but
He will.
he will. He'll choke the game after playing his heart out. But that's the thing. I'm kind of sold on some of these guys. I even thought Geno Smith was doing pretty decent at one point. And even Baker Mayfield before the collapse of the season. I mean, I even so Baker being in this situation where he took a team to the playoff 2 out of 3 years he's been here. It just shows that some teams are looking for game changers all the time, and and they really got a game manager or vice versa. So,
Yeah.
and some of them have to develop in that. Like I said, there's some quarterbacks this year that are developing into game changers. And it could either be from the circumstances of their team. Maybe they lost a star player. Maybe they don't have a certain player on their team anymore. Um, I thought this year, and prior in the past, he may have been one in the past, but I thought this year Dak Prescott at one point was playing like a game changer. He was playing pretty great. And so there's, and that could come from the fact that he lost a star player on the other side. And so you have certain quarterbacks that step up in situations and they become something that they necessarily weren't, or maybe that they didn't know that they had, or maybe they weren't allowed to play because of the system. But let's see what happens. Even Baker is allowed to kind of really do what he wanted to do and became really a game changer. So we have to we have to respect both of these type of quarterbacks. These quarterbacks are some of these guys could do more than one.
Yeah. And I think like, and then to my point that I was saying about Brady earlier, but it's like when you go out to play, it's like, son, Just don't you don't gotta sit there and have all these crazy stats. Just don't lose the game.
Yeah.
Just don't like Brock Purdy is a good example of that. Like, just don't
Yeah.
lose the game. Nobody said you had to go in there and be the reason that you win because, the 49ers have an amazing defense from Fred Warner and Bosa and all those guys that they can have there. And then you have the weapons around him. You draft a Ricky Pearsall. You get C-Mac from Carolina. You got a Brandon Ayuk whenever he decides he wants to show up. Uh, you had
Debo,
Army Knife.
but
Who?
now he's gone. I was gonna say you had Debo, but he's gone now.
Yeah, Debo. Yeah, Debo. So I mean, it's just you put the pieces around him, and I think Mahomes is still a game changer. But it's just they need to. I think they waited too long to replenish that team. Like,
Yeah. He
that
already had knee injuries too, leading
yeah,
in practice and stuff, and he just wore it out.
and they've never really had the greatest offensive line. They've
No,
never had the
not
greatest
at all.
offensive line.
And the
That's
thing
why they
about
lost the first
Mahomes
time.
too, where when we're talking about game changer and game manager, this is what I'll say for Mahomes. I actually never, even when he went to the Super Bowl, I'm not saying I wasn't a believer, but I wasn't like raving over Mahomes, right? I didn't think it was like the greatest thing since sliced bread, like a lot of people thought. But when we played him, and I was happy that he won the year before against San Francisco. But I was more happy because of Andy Reid. I was like, "Oh, good for Andy Reid. He finally got a ring."
Yeah,
Not knowing that he would become a dynasty. And seeing the next year of them play the Buccaneers, my team, I had a tremendous amount of respect for Patrick Mahomes. He had turf toe. He had missing a couple offensive linemen, and like you said, that Super Bowl defense was absolutely insane. I believe there was a stat that said, and I could be wrong, but I believe there was a stat that said that he scrambled for over 400 yards with turf toe. And I'm gonna tell you this: the passes that he was making, even though they were a lot of them were incomplete, they were some of the greatest incomplete passes I've ever seen attempted. No, they really were. Like I remember saying to myself, like, "Dang, bro." I'm like, even though that these guys can't catch the ball, or they keep dropping it, or they're not making the catch, he's literally making a perfect pass every single time, whether he's scrambling, sidearm falling out of bounds, and you have Levante Davis, Shaq Barrett, what's his name, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea,
yeah,
Antoine Winfield, all down his neck, and he's literally scrambling for his life with turf toe and has no, and he had two backup offensive linemen in the Super Bowl like that were just practicing a week before, like. But he was making some crazy passes, and that's where, and the reason why I bring that up is because even though they only scored 9 points, I believe they had no touchdowns at all. It was like 3 field goals. The only reason why they even came close to putting points on the board like that is because of Patrick Mahomes.
yeah,
There's certain quarterbacks that the only reason why your team ever even came close to winning or even scored at all is because of the quarterback on that team. It doesn't matter who they have. There's some quarterbacks that, I mean, there was years that Drew Brees didn't really have anything. There was years that Matt Ryan didn't have anything. There was years that Aaron Rodgers didn't really have anything. There was years that Tom Brady didn't really have anything. Tom Brady is notorious for making 1,000-yard receivers out of people that are like 5'5". You know what I mean? So it's just like these guys, without them themselves, their team would not look anything like what they look. They wouldn't get the success they have. And then you have other teams that are like riddled with so many good players, and their backup knows how to, their backup pays attention in practice, and their backup knows how to watch film too.
yeah.
And you end up getting hurt, and they come in, and their team doesn't look nearly as bad. Like what's his name? Cincinnati.
Uh, Jake Browning.
Yeah, Browning, he just, I mean, he had his moments where he looked bad, like he looked like a backup, but for the most part, dude came in and he did the best he could do with what he had. He looked like someone that paid attention to film right next to Joe Burrow, and he
Yeah,
looked like he was going to be ready no matter what, whenever it happened. Who was another person? Oh, I mean, that was Sam Darnold for the Vikings when JJ McCarthy for his ACL.
man.
He was like, all right,
I know they kicking themselves right now.
yeah. Then he went 14-3. I mean, I wouldn't. I would still be, I would still be, fully on board for JJ McCarthy. You gotta fulfill your quarterback project when you draft one. You gotta go through with it for the first few years. But and something can come out of it. But tearing an ACL in your first year it sucks. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, to let go. I mean, I think the Panthers. I mean, I know you like Bryce Young, and Bryce Young is looking better and better. But I mean, you let go. You had Baker and Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, those there's a lot of teams now in the league that their team is simply winning because of quarterback play. And there's a few teams that are riddled with resources that are made like game change or game managers. I think San Francisco and the Eagles are the number two teams right now that have game managing quarterbacks that are really good game managers that could fool you for being elite game changing quarterback.
Yeah. That's true. Man, I think that now. Well, I was who else was I going to mention? What's the one quarter? Oh, from Dallas, Cooper Rush too. He's a good example of that too.
Cooper Rush,
Cooper
Cooper
Rush
Rush is
came
great.
in and was like, okay, all right, I see you. He's like, listen, well, with backup quarterbacks, it's like, you know what, just don't lose the game, please.
Yeah.
Tyler Huntley, Snoop, oh Snoop.
Also, Taylor Heineke
Oh
from
yeah,
Washington having a time. Taylor
yeah,
Heineke. Malik Willis looks good right now. Malik
yeah,
Willis for the Packers, he looks really good. I mean, he
yeah,
almost beat the Bears in that game
yeah.
before Caleb Williams made that great pass. But I mean,
Incredible
there's a
pass.
couple good quarterbacks out there. I mean, and there's some journeymen as well. I'm not sure if there's any more journeymen besides like Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, yeah, those are some good backup quarterbacks, and there's a few more out there. But shout out to those backup quarterbacks too. I forgot his name. I think his name is Kyle Burkhardt, possibly. I think.
oh
And
yeah, I know. Yeah,
yeah, he does that page where he breaks down film and stuff. There's some quarterbacks that just weren't athletically chosen, or they weren't chosen physically by the coaching staff to be really, you know, to really give full trust in. And some of them just don't have the athletic and physical capabilities that some other quarterbacks have, but they have the intelligence and the mind.
yeah,
I think that's why a lot of those guys, when they're ready to go, they're ready to go. Cooper Rush was a great choice, though.
yeah, definitely. Did you see what I put in the notion about Lamar? You
Oh,
think
about should he be traded?
the trade rumors? You think there's any smoke to that, or what? I think it's stupid.
No, no. I think, and I was kind of watching what Unc was talking about. Like this, I think it was Unc, but I think this is a result of bad PR for your team.
Yeah,
Like you never want any tabloid coming out about your top player questioning trades unless it's really true.
yeah,
Unless you're really trying to, and this is the thing too. The NBA does this a lot when they're trying to get feels out there. Like they'll drop little rumors so that they can have GMs call in and be like, "Hey, I hear you got this person on the chopping block, so to speak," and they just to get some calls out. And so this could be that tactic. Not saying that that's limited to the NBA, but I also do think that it's just a bunch of baloney. I don't think it's actually true at all. I
yeah,
think that Lamar Jackson, excuse me, a lot of yawns. Excuse me, guys. I think Lamar Jackson, he's had a tough year. Mind you guys, I think that they were one catch away from going to the Super Bowl last year. So they looked great, and I just think that this year it was kind of tough for them to put it together with all the injuries. I mean, we've seen that with the Bucks where they looked great at one point, and then all of a sudden injuries just riddled them, and they tried to come back and put it all together, and it just plummeted. So, I mean, it happens with teams. Derrick Henry finally started to pick it up again. I think the team looked decent at times. When I watched that last game, especially last night, I thought their offense, even though at times kind of stalled, I thought it looked good. I thought, Lamar Jackson looked good passing. I thought he looked great in the pocket. He had his moments, but I thought he looked great in the pocket. So It's unfortunate that, the rookie
You know,
kicker missed,
I know.
but, I think that they'll be just fine. I think they'll keep him, and I think he'll be a Raven for a very long time.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. I think it's a bunch of baloney too. Like I think with Lamar, you just need to put some pieces around him. That's all.
Yeah,
Like man, this is 3 years in a row between Zay Flowers fumbling the ball and Mark Andrews dropping that touchdown pass. And now a boy missing the field goal. Man, I know he is sick of putting his teams in positions to win and his teammates
yeah.
let him down. I know that's gotta hurt, man. Yeah, they
I
need some
just
pieces around him, that's all.
yeah. No, and I agree with that, and I think also too, one thing that teams they're a little bit more privy about than fans are, and so I'm sure that in the locker room, they're not just thinking about the last play, they're thinking about all the plays that led up to them being put in the position to make one play.
Yeah,
It's because that's what they wanna stop avoiding going forward is how can we eliminate mistakes from keeping us tapping to win the game by one play? Because I mean, how nerve-wracking it is to have to try to win a game by a field goal. And it's crazy because that lively catch was amazing.
it
That Derek
was.
Lively catch, I watched it live. I was like, "Yo, no way." And you know what's crazy? I remember literally them setting up the field goal, and I was just like, "You know what? I'm not really necessarily the biggest fan of Aaron Rodgers. I would love for him to be sent home and retired right now, as much as I like Mike Tomlin." But I just remember thinking, I was like, "You know what? This is such a crazy game. He's probably gonna miss it." And then he missed it, and I just remember my face was like, "What the?" But yeah, it's just I was like, "What the heck?" But that's the
That's
thing, they
right.
continue to put themselves in positions to have to make that play, like, the defense, where was the defense? The dude, Austin, beat the corner on a route, he just slipped on the double move, and, I know that corner felt sick, but I'm like,
Damn,
"This is
bro,
this is
Ravens
live
did have
TV,
good
Sunday
defense.
Night Football." You ain't had Kelly Clarkson just singing, boy.
Man,
Now you
bro,
gonna
the
tell on
Ravens,
your
they have
dude.
good defense.
Oh, no, they don't.
Goodness
And you know
gracious.
what's funny? TJ Watt looked absolutely embarrassing and embarrassed every single time that the Ravens scored. I think
Yeah,
both of those teams didn't really have a defense as much, so
yeah,
but we'll
yeah.
see what happens.
We'll see. Anything can happen, but I don't think he's getting traded. That'd be, I mean, stupid. I mean, teams they had a chance to get him a few years ago when he was having contract talks. I wanted him to go to Atlanta personally, just to. I was talking with my homeboy in Atlanta about that earlier. He's like, man, man,
For
Lamar would
Lamar
have turned
Jackson,
that city upside down. Yeah,
you know what's crazy too is that Atlanta has a great defense and they have really good offensive pieces. Bijan and Lamar Jackson would be great together.
bro, him and
But
Drake
I
London
don't
and Kyle Pitts.
think that yeah, I think he's gonna stay though. I think he's gonna
Yeah,
stay.
I think so
It'd
too.
be nice, to be honest, Lamar Jackson and Bucky Irvin in the Bucks would be nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you think that, don't you?
He got some targets. He got some targets, but I think to get a coaching staff, I'm still waiting for Todd Bowles to be fired. I literally just checked the notification and I haven't heard anything yet. I'm waiting to see that notification to the public that he's cleaning out his office as we speak. Yeah. Tell that man,
Hey,
I'll
hey,
come pack his bags for him. Free of charge.
hey, hey, you better call Gruden again. Tell Gruden to
That's
get
who
off
I
YouTube.
want. That's actually who I want. Either that or at least a coordinator, Gruden as a coordinator. That's who I want. At least I don't really know about his brother Jay Gruden too much and how he's done. Obviously, he doesn't have a job right now, but except for sitting on a podcast. But um, you know, I, it would be nice to get the Gruden family down here. Hire Jay Gruden. Let him hire his brother as a coordinator. Let's get back to some hard nosed smack mouth football from Tampa Bay. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I might want to try to go at the Brian Flores too.
Maybe, maybe. We'll see what happens.
So
I'm excited for the futures because we still have some great defensive pieces, especially under contract. We still have some great offensive pieces under contract. I think we needed a whole new coaching staff. and I think we need a lot of defensive players and even take a chance on a quarterback in the draft. I think to sit behind Baker and let him gradually take over Baker's position. I love
Yeah,
Baker. Baker's done a lot, but the thing about it is, this is the thing: the play style of Baker, he's gonna always consistently be hurt. He always gets hurt.
yeah,
He's also getting older. This is one thing that's unfortunate to Baker. It makes him kind of smarter in some situations, but it's unfortunate that Baker's had a different offensive coordinator or coach almost every single year of his
yeah,
career, and so it is tough for him to be on the same page with someone. You can always look at it as Baker has gotten so many coaches hired as head coaches or different coaches. You can also say he's gotten some fired. So, you know, you it's kind of tough to look at it that way, but I mean, at this point, I think Baker is would make a I think he would make a really good journeyman. I think he'll be the starting quarterback for the Bucks for the next year, if not year and a half. I think if we can get another quarterback, they'll take over when he starts to go through his drought in the middle of the season. And
yeah,
then from there, depending on success of the young quarterback, I think they'll take over the team. But it would just be so nice for us to draft a really nice quarterback. And I don't think we haven't had one in a long time.
yeah. Y'all haven't had like a franchise quarterback since like who? Like
Vinny Testaverde.
I was gonna say Doug Johnson, but I guess the defense is
Yeah,
really
Doug
what carried that
Johnson
team.
too. Yeah, but I mean, we had like we keep bringing people on. I mean, we hired or not hired, but we drafted or Josh Freeman and Jameis Winston, Mike Glennon, all those guys, and they were but who else did we have? We had Jeff Garcia at one point, took us to the playoff, but the Bucks could do so much better, so much better. That defense absolutely is awful, man. It's atrocious and it's
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Speaking of coaches getting fired, it's been some spring cleaning, or should I say winter cleaning, since the end of the season here. Falcons have fired Raheem Morris. The
Yep,
Browns have
get him
fired
out of
Kevin
there.
Stefanski. About time. Good Lord,
Get
good
him
time.
out. Get him out of
Look
here.
at God.
I don't know.
Uh, Raiders, they just gave up on. They said, Pete Carroll, bro, go home.
Yeah,
Pete Carroll,
they
just
say
go
you
home,
old.
bro.
They say you too old to do this.
Yeah. And the Cardinals part ways with Jonathan Gannon. Which one of those coaches do you think maybe got fired a little too early?
So name the coach. So you had Kevin Stefanski, Raheem Morris,
Pete Carroll and Jonathan
Pete
Gannon.
Carroll. I'm gonna say actually two of them, and on the verge of how long was John Gannon there? He was only there for a season, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And see, that's the thing. I think them switching off of Kyler Murray and going with Jacoby Brissett and trying to figure out what they're gonna do, that's not fair to that coach. I think Pete Carroll not necessarily having. I mean, you're with Geno Smith. He's a project at all times. And he had an awful season, and you had Chip Kelly trying to change the way Ashton or what's his name, Ashton Genty was in his stance and running and just him controlling the offense. I don't really like Chip Kelly's offense anyway. And this is the thing though: if the scheme and personnel and the people that you pick are your guys, sometimes you got to clear house. Sometimes you can go and let go of the offensive coordinator, but I think a lot of times you only let go of an offensive coordinator if you like everyone else, or if you think the overall team is doing well, it just needs a couple different changes. If
Yeah,
the front office for the Vegas Raiders saw that, the whole scheme and the whole personnel or the whole coaching personnel is just outdated and not for us, it's probably time to clear house. I would probably, to answer your question totally, I would probably say the Cardinals coach. I think you switching off of Kyler Murray and going with Jacoby Brissett and just kind of switch, in the middle of the season or early in the middle of the season. It's like I think you give that coach one more year. Um, all the other coaches, I think I kind of expected. Raheem Morris, this is the thing. My dad wanted him to get fired. Never liked him. He used to be a Buccaneers coach as well. He started off as a defensive back coordinator or coach for the Bucks. Um, and he's always been a young coach. And I will say this: I think he definitely has respect of the locker room. But I just think that they themselves expected so much of him. I think we all did. We all expected the Falcons to be one of those teams this year, and it kind of just flopped. And if you ask me, I think that they flopped the situation as soon as they signed Kirk Cousins to that huge deal, and then went out in the same summer and drafted Michael Penix. Like, what are you doing? Why wouldn't you get more help for Kirk Cousins, or save your freaking money and draft Michael Penix and then sign more big players, or or save your money for the future for like people like AJ Terrell and Drake London and Bijan Robinson and other guys like that. So I don't understand what Arthur Smith and that team was doing. It kind of shows why they haven't won anything, before. There's a lot of times why organizations show you right off the bat why they haven't won in so long or why they haven't won at all. Yeah, I I think all the other coaching firings were pretty much justified. I think that Cardinals coach probably looked too early.
Raheem Morris, I'm kind of back and forth because he was only there 2 years.
Yeah,
Like, I'm back and forth. He was only there 2 years, but at the same time, I get it. You got Bijan Robinson, you got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, you got all the Leonard Floyd, Algier, AJ Terrell, all those pieces around your quarterback and around you, and your personnel is probably one of the most underrated in the NFL. And what was that record? Like eight? How many games they won this year?
Super Falcons.
Yeah,
I think it was just 8 and 9 and
yeah. I think they were like eight and
7.
nine or something like that.
Yeah, they're 8 and 9. Yep.
Yeah,
Panthers, Bucks, and Falcons finish in a three-way tie of 8-9.
yeah. I I get the frustration. I do. I do think sometimes these coaches is not it's not really fair for some of these coaches because they're not getting the chances that they need to be able to get their schemes and get their voice in the locker room heard. Um, I mean, what Liam Cohen's doing in Jacksonville, that's like an anomaly. I didn't expect us to be this good. I figured that we would be better, but that's like an anomaly. That almost never happens sometimes. Like immediately, like that, we just caught fire. It's I don't know. I like I said, I understand. I get it. I just feel like 2 years. Sometimes you might need a little bit more time than that.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing
especially
about Liam Cohen, before he played called for us Bucks, that was his first full year of play calling in the NFL. He
yeah,
was like a high school, college play caller, or and he kept going back and forth in the NFL and college and stuff, and just kind of in and out. And Todd Bowles just kind of gave him an opportunity. He just went. He did very, very well. So you're right. That is like an anomaly. That doesn't happen a lot of times. I mean, in some situations it does happen, and then you still have like Sean McVay was one of those situations
yeah,
where right as he grabbed ranks of a team, he's been good. And one thing about Sean McVay, he's been good ever since. He does have a couple seasons where he's had tough break and they didn't make the playoffs. But
yeah,
usually that happens from injuries. But and I think the thing that's well with Jaguars is they just kind of took off really more after and I hate to say this, but Jacksonville was really more in the tabloids because of Travis Hunter in the beginning of the season. Then when he got hurt,
yeah,
people stopped paying attention about Jacksonville. All of a sudden, you turn the TV on it on the Jacksonville Jaguars. game, and it's a couple weeks later you realize you're like, oh, these guys are actually kind of good, and their record is really
Yeah,
good. So, um, they just kind of sneak up on us. But Liam Cohen is a great coach, and it's good for him, especially with the way that these teams are firing really quickly. And it sucks too because we offered him a contract. He accepted it, and he ended up coming back and rescinding it for that offer, which I think is a lot more money, and you get to be a head coach instead of coordinator. And I think he was smart because there was a lot of people that in the Bucks organization that already want Todd Bowles gone. We wanted him gone for the last 2 to 3 seasons. And with the way Liam Cohen was doing very well in the middle of the season towards the end, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Liam Cohen take over, Liam Cohen take over, Liam Cohen take over." Either that or re-sign him. And I think Liam Cohen's like, you know what? If I come back and I do a really good job, there's going to be a rift between me and this head coach the whole time. People are going to think he's trying to take
yeah,
my job, or he's going to think I'm trying to take his
yeah,
job, or blah blah. So I think he's like, you know what? I'm going to go take 10 more extra $1 million and have my own team, and I
yeah,
still get to have that Florida weather and no income tax.
yeah. I think with Cohen, like, because one of the biggest things from what I understand is the GM part of it, which, man, as a Jaguars fan, bro, firing Trent Bulk was like the best thing we could have done. Yeah, firing Trent Bulk was the best thing that we could have done, like, for us, like, structurally. And,
Hmm.
getting Tony Baselli is the player, like, in the front office too, someone who's a Hall of Famer and a Jaguar who can kind of put his voice and his stamp on things. That was one of the biggest things for him was getting that sort of that chain of command, and then he was able to bring in Gladstone, who was on the Rams staff when they won the Super Bowl. So
Hmm.
that just kind of shows you what kind of person we got there, as far as player personnel, and we see certain things being done, like bringing in Jacoby Myers, making that trade, and now he has like a second career, almost a resurgence, with us. And but yeah, that's because we were looking shaky at the first half of the season, and nobody was really sure about Travis and where he fit into the defense and the offense, and I
I
do
don't like the
think
way y'all use him though. I still don't like the way y'all use.
I think he's going to be mostly on defense when he comes back.
I think so too, but the thing about it is, it's not hard to package him in for two different formation sets where he has 16 and 20 plays.
Yeah,
It's really not hard. None of that, but it's just like he is a corner. He's that good of a cornerback because of his wide receiver skills. And so I hope that Liam Combs fixes that and does a lot better with that, and tries to package that in a lot better. And I think honestly, a lot of the lack of success came from them trying to utilize their number two overall pick and try to make him a focal point, knowing that people were watching the game and going to the game because of him. And it kind of just took away from his overall scheme of what he wanted the offense to be in general. But the reason
yeah,
why you have to use him on both sides is because you moved up for him to draft him in the second pick.
yeah,
You don't move up to draft a cornerback. It's happened before, but you just don't do it. You don't move up to draft a wide receiver. It's happened before, but you just don't do it. You just don't do those things. It's not smart, it's not wise. You don't do that for your team. But what you do is you move up and you draft a person that plays wide receiver and cornerback so good that he won so many awards in college for it, including the Heisman. You do trade up and draft the Heisman, the number two pick. And if that Heisman happens to play cornerback and wide receiver, that's exactly what he has to play in the NFL. So I think if you don't play him on both sides, he is a bust. No matter how good he is, no matter if he's a really good cornerback and he only plays cornerback, no matter if he's a really good wide receiver and he only plays wide receiver. To me, I think he essentially is a bust for the simple fact that you don't trade up and draft a number two pick overall and then don't use him for what you drafted him for. So he's a cornerback wide receiver, you gotta use him for both.
Yeah.
He could be a dime package, and then you just put him in under 12-person personnel.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because and I told people this too, like if people actually thought that and I'll just say this based on like how he is supposed to fit, I think if people were expecting him to dominate like he did in Colorado,
Mhm.
that was never gonna happen. That was
Yeah,
ne- that was never gonna be like he was not gonna do it. Like the thing is with Trav, like when he was in college, he was more oftentimes than not, he was the best player on the field. On the in the NFL, that nah.
yeah,
You got Jamar Chase, you got Justin Jefferson, you got to worry about. You have a Tyreek, a Devontae, JSN, a Puka, who else? T Higgins. You have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. There's so many people that you have to account for as a DB, and then if you're playing wide receiver, and you got AJ Terrell, you have a Patrick Surtain. There's so many. So I think that if people were expecting him to just to dominate like he did, I didn't think that was gonna happen. I do think that Liam Cohen, like he kind of messed up a little bit because he was trying to kind of force something instead of letting it happen naturally. Because like my thing is with him, um, how was I gonna say? It? Yeah, you have to like. He was just really just trying to force something like because how you said when you draft somebody number 2 overall, you have to use them. But I don't think he was really ready for that at that point. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? I
It's
think
a lot for him going on for him as a new head coach, and just his biggest focus is literally getting Trevor Lawrence going. You know.
right. And when this has never really been done before in the NFL.
Nope.
Like had players like play both sides in college, but this is like the first time I think it's ever been attempted to have a player play both sides. And listen, I think he's a better DB than receiver, but
Yeah. I think he's a great DB, but it comes a lot from his wide receiver skills. I think he's a great wide receiver, and because he plays the ball like a wide receiver on defense, it makes him a really great DB. But that's why a lot of DBs are really good, like AJ
yeah,
Terrell, Pat Surtain,
you
all
still
the
kind of breaking up a
successful
little.
guys that are out there. A lot of them played receiver first. But look, I think with Liam Cohen, being a head coach and your biggest focus is to turn the team around and make sure that your quarterback Trevor Lawrence is looking good, or has a recipe for success. I think that really was his main focus. And like you said, to deal with the player that you traded up for to get that never been done before can be really tough. And I hope that when he comes back, they're able to utilize him in a way that not only lets him ease into the game again, but I mean, he barely went through his first season. And so I'm hoping he stays healthy and things like that will happen.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm starting to disconnect a lot. There was a part of that conversation that I disconnected for like 2 whole minutes, and then I came back and you were just mid conversation, and I
yeah.
just
I don't
stayed
know.
there.
It was weird.
Yeah,
Can you hear me? Can you see me just fine, or is everything good, or what?
you have like a small little echo that's following you, but it's fine. I think it's because of me. I know the
Mm.
connection that I'm in this apartment is awful.
Oh, okay. Internet issues. I've had them before. I can
Yeah.
probably I can cut whatever unnecessary parts out anyway, so it's fine. You got any thoughts on your old coach in Michigan, or you want to skip past that because it's kind of been talked about already?
Yeah, we can kind of skip past that. As far as like the college stuff, I try to stay away from it because I don't know too much about it and I don't keep up with it too much. I
Yeah,
know we got a new coach that came from Utah, but I don't really know his name or too much about him at all.
yeah. As far as the whole Sharon Moore thing, just got to be careful. That's all I guess. Also, Jacksonville, man,
Yeah.
Peyton. I get what he was trying to say, but I think Liam Cohen kind of took it as a kind of almost like a little brother comment. I
Hmm.
got it too. You know what? What is this? Because hold on. Let's get on Google real quick.
Well, before you even look at this up, Sean Payton, because we were talking about the other coaches earlier. Sean Payton and Liam Cohen are also going to be candidates for Coach of the Year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely.
So there's going to be a little bit of dig here and there.
Yeah. I wanted to look up something here because we're talking about small markets, and this is times I don't understand. As somebody who's lived there before. Jacksonville, Florida has a city population of around 985,000 to over 1 million people, making it the largest city and the biggest in the continental U.S. by area, with this metro exceeding 1.7 million residents and growing rapidly. Can someone please explain to me how this is a small market?
So this is the thing. You gotta specify that Jacksonville is the largest city in the United States per capita. So per per space, for the amount of space that the city contains, which also a lot of people don't realize that Jacksonville City, the city limits, it makes up most of Jacksonville itself. So the limits, the city limits of the actual city of Jacksonville, the square footage of that, it is most of what Jacksonville is itself. And then being that that is the space itself has so much people in that space that it makes it the largest city in the United States per capita, even bigger than Orlando, DC, New York,
Yeah.
Los Angeles, Dallas, San Antonio, Chicago, Boston, all that
And the
stuff
water
is because
too.
the amount of people per face here. So with that being said, yes, I mean it shouldn't be considered a small market, but Florida teams will always be considered small. And I think a lot of the times when it refers to a small market, I don't think it necessarily refers to the popularity of the city, which most of the time it does, but I also think it really refers to the fan base, which kind of has to do with the popularity of the city. And the reason why I say fan base is because you have a lot of these teams that are original teams of the sport, or at least are a team that's been here over 80, 90, 100 years. And then you have other teams that have just came about. So like Jacksonville, Tampa, all both of those teams are teams that were like Tampa just celebrated their 50th season.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, I believe they came about in 94,
95.
95. So that's the reason why it's a small market. You're only 21 years old. There's some people that are 22, 23 right now, or maybe even 30 years old, 35, 40 years old that remember when Jacksonville became an organization or were born before Jacksonville became an organization. So,
Yeah.
it's not like the Packers who are an original organization.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. I don't know, I get upset when I hear stuff like that because it's like, bro, it's one of the biggest cities, probably the biggest city in Florida. It has a
Yeah,
huge fan base. Like,
huge.
because compared to other NFL cities, I mean, Kansas City, they consider that a small market. I mean, Kansas City's not
No,
the biggest
no,
at
it's
all.
not at all. St. Louis is not the best. But there's another thing. You gotta once you start winning and you become a prime time team and your fan base is actually shown, it's because they act like you guys don't have the fans. It's just that your fans are not highlighted because you're not a winning organization. When you become a winning organization, you start winning more, then your fans are highlighted a little bit more, and then that's when, as a fan base, you're kind of considered as a large fan base that has a larger market. But it also, I think, as far as TV wise, so as far as TV deals, as far as TV stations, as far as broadcasting, I think, as well as you got to understand when it's like a New York Knicks game, the amount of commercials on TV and the type of commercials that are happening, those those companies, those marketing agencies and consulting companies are pushing a lot of their products on these New York games, these Orlando games, Chicago, Boston games, LA games, is because there's so much more people to see those commercials and see those products, it's because it's a big city team, it's a big market team. And so there's the amount of people that are watching a Charlotte Hornets versus a Milwaukee Bucks game is not nearly the amount of people that are watching a Clippers and Warriors game.
Yeah,
It's just not nearly enough. Or it's not like how you're watching a Nuggets and OKC game.
yeah,
And both of those cities, Denver and Oklahoma, are not necessarily the biggest markets, but because they became championship teams and people watch them and people tune in, now you have all these big marketing companies that are now going to push all these products and try to sell as much as that they can while you have all these eyes looking. That's where it comes to monetizing and things like that. So, you
yeah.
know, Jacksonville doesn't have a lot of individuals that tune in that says, "I can't wait to watch this Jacksonville Jaguars game. I can't. I really hope the Jags win, or I hope the Jags make it a fight." That's only Jacksonville fans. So once it becomes more of a bigger marketed team, a team that is shown more because they win more, like Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles is a king in Florida, dog.
Man, I love Blake Bortles, man. I don't care what
Blake
nobody says.
Bortles, Blake
I don't
Bortles
care.
is
I
a
love Blake Bortles, man.
hey man. You know how many restaurants I've been in Florida and Blake Bortles jersey is on the wall, bro? Like
Bro,
just random restaurants in his jersey. But anyone that don't know Blake Bortles, man, he was a quarterback here at the University of Central Florida, UCF. I believe he went 10-0 then too. I'm
yeah.
not sure if he won a championship or a bowl game that year. Not sure. But he then got drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars and literally was one quarter away from going to the Super Bowl if they didn't actually take their foot off the gas pedal against New England. But
Miles Jack wasn't down either, but whatever.
yeah,
So,
it was tough.
yeah.
They had to let Tom Brady get another one.
Oh, of course, of course. And you know what the thing is? Brady even admitted like a couple of years ago, like yeah, Miles Jack wasn't there. He admitted it. He's like, yeah, he wasn't down.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Well,
we
a lot
know.
of, and this is the thing when these things happen, players know, but they have no control.
Yeah,
They just
and
take
he
advantage
ain't
of
gonna
whatever
say
decision.
nothing.
Yeah, they just take advantage of whatever decision is going to happen.
Yeah, they ain't gonna say nothing. They're not gonna be like, oh, hold on, wait a minute, ref, wait a minute. I don't think this is the right call. Come on now. Like, nah.
These are these commercials we had in elementary school where it's like, "Stop, ref! It's his ball. It's his
Right?
ball, ref."
No, it's okay.
No,
No, I'll
no,
give
no,
you that
no.
ball back. It's okay. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it, champ.
You're
You'll
gonna
get
have
it
all
next
them
time.
grown men that are making millions of dollars that just lost incentive jump you in the locker room. You is not about to make it out of there to your family. So nah,
Yeah,
they
you remember when Jason Tatum fouled LeBron and he was like jumping around, acting all crazy?
yeah,
And you seen Jason Tatum and he was over there like, because he
yeah,
know he fouled us, man. He know he fouled
yeah.
him.
You're like, man, you foul. You foul. Not only that, but
He
then
wasn't
like
about to say
LeBron
nothing.
looking at me, I can't say nothing. I can't say nothing.
I
LeBron
can't
looking.
say that. But yeah, I guess you're right. When you do win, that does bring more of a, because there's a lot of smaller cities or less popular cities, quote unquote, that get marketed because they do win. Because I mean, ain't nobody. I don't know what's in Kansas City except the barbecue. Um, I mean, obviously you got those bigger teams like an LA or an LA team or a New York team or Atlanta. That's a big marketed team. So yeah, I guess I get what you're saying. But hopefully
Yeah,
we
I
start
think
winning
with
and people like
Jacksonville,
us.
if they continue to win the way they're winning right now and make some impact in the playoffs, and they become a team that's fun to watch, the NFL will, when they're making schedules for TV games, because they already have the opponents. You can look up on your website right now the opponents you're going to play for the next 2, 3 years. They just dropped the schedule at
Yeah,
at the beginning of the season and the off season, right? And
yeah,
so the NFL, they take into account. They're like, okay, that team is doing a lot better. They're doing like the Bears next year are going to have a lot of games that are marketed. The Cowboys always have games because their fans always tune in no matter what state they're at. You're gonna have a few a few different teams that actually have more games that on prime time is because of the success that they're doing. And Jaguars will be one of those teams that have more primetime games next year. And
yeah.
so as they continue to do more successful things and they look better. So, I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks like a great quarterback. He's the perfect Stafford quarterback. Look like sunshine from temptation. The more successful that he does, and especially with the success story of Liam Cole, they're the perfect story of a team to show on primetime games as long as they keep winning.
Yeah.
So, as the fandom or the fan base grows because of how much that they're showing, they just got to keep winning, make some impacts. Their market will grow. It's because it's going to be two different things. It's going to be the NFL that looks at it. They're like, yeah, let's put them for a Sunday night game here, or 425 game flex game here, or let's put them for a Monday night or Thursday night or Saturday night here. Let's put them at the England or a Brazil game. It's
Yeah.
because people are going to watch that, and we can make money off of that. And then you see essentially these marketing companies. Sorry, you have these marketing companies that look at it and they're like, hey, well, you know what? The Jacksonville Jaguars play this team at this time. I want my commercial slot to be during this game. It's because I know people
Yeah.
are going to come and watch it. People are going to come and watch the game, so I want my commercial slot here, here, and here. And that's how you become essentially a big market team. Because then they're always going to put you on. That's why the Knicks are always on, the Lakers are always on,
The Cowboys always talking about the
Cowboys
Cowboys.
are always on. Because they have huge fan bases. So these companies know they can make a lot of money off of our fan bases, and the NFL in turn is like, you know what? I'm gonna make money off the company that wants to make money off the fan bases, and I'm gonna make money off the fan. They just
Look at Taylor.
with
Look at what
swapping
with
hands.
Taylor. Look at with Swift last year. Old the Swifties. They
Oh yeah,
money they brought in. The
what?
amount of money, TV revenue, just TV revenue
Just
alone.
TV alone, yeah. They said that the viewership went up a certain percentage. I forgot what the percentage was. But she brought the percentage, and all they had to do was just literally pan over to her about 5 or 6 times again. Every time Travis caught the ball,
Thank you.
pan over to her. Every single time Travis didn't even have to be on the field. If they scored or if they did a good play, you pan over to her to get her reaction. If you're watching her, if she's reacting, you pan over to her and you cut to her screen right away. You know why? It's because that girl
Yeah.
is beloved by so many individuals that don't even like football. All they looked at it as was like, you know what, we're about to get so many new fans, and we're about to make so much more money. And that's exactly what they did. And
Seem
so,
like you're breaking up again. Well,
hey,
I see.
sorry,
Try to break.
you
Nah,
got
but
disconnected.
I get the gist of what you're saying though. Man, honestly, like that whole demographic between like 8 to like probably like 30 years old. You got little girls who don't know the difference between a touchdown and a first down. It's like watching these games. These little girls, all they know is they see Taylor.
Yeah,
I, I
but
think I read something last year. It was like something crazy, like what 300 and something million, 300 and something million.
yeah, it was
Crazy.
a crazy number that she brought in, and I thought it was insane because I don't know if they paid her anything or whatever, so they just kept making money off of her simply just trying to support her boyfriend, which is crazy. But you know what I think too as well. You got to think of. I always like to think about the bigger picture, and I always think about the impact. Right? I, my girlfriend now, she's very, very open to sports, but she's not the huge big, the biggest sports fan. Rather, she doesn't watch it. She's not a fan, but she knows a couple players here and there. But she doesn't really know it as well. But there's a few sisters that I've seen or even talked to that know football very well, whether it's their husband, their boyfriend, their brothers, their dad. or maybe that they liked it, they grew up liking it, and they started to learn it more and more. You could talk to them about it. I just think that the amount of girls, teenagers, toddlers, not even toddlers, but like more like you know, just children, like anywhere from like 8 to 30, like you said, that are big fans of Taylor Swift that are got exposed to football. Out of those hundreds of millions of new viewers, there has to at least be, let's just say, 5 to 10% of those individuals. Let's just say it was 30 or 300 million, and 5 to 10%, which is like 15 to 30 million. Imagine 15 to 30 million of those 300 million said, you know what, I want to start watching football. I want to get into it. I want to learn. I want to enjoy it. So you're gonna have a great amount of women in the next generation, or from the next generation, that enjoy football. And we already seeing more female coaches, female referees and umpires and officials. Um, so I think it is kind of cool to an effect that it expands the sport and it exposes to other individuals that, guys all the time could talk about football to a woman. All we needed was Taylor Swift to be on the screen, it looks like. But it's gonna be hard for them to grasp what we're saying or how we're trying to show it to them, but they see someone that they like, they're exposed to it, now they wanna watch it.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Well, guys, that is a wrap. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it right back there. We can table the whole playoff discussion probably like on next time we shoot, whenever we shoot next.
Yeah.
I was to get to it today, but we didn't really have time.
We can
But
do
that's
it
fine.
Wednesday
We have
before the playoffs start.
yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, Wednesday is still that's fine. So yeah, that is a wrap. That has been our first official, unofficial episode of It's Been a Minute podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. Like I said, I'm your host, Trevor Augustus. My partner in crime to the left, Angus AJ Johnson. Appreciate
Yes,
y'all for
sir.
listening, guys. Catch you later. Legendary.
Legendary. Hey, we gonna get sued by Shador. Hey, Prime, leave me alone. You got enough money, dog.
Right. Hey, they said that lawsuit was perfect timing.
But hey, you know what's funny?